gonna say, oh,
I think that you might see a change in that attitude moving forward.
That's plain. You gotta do what you gotta do till they shut you down.
yeah, this is true.
That's ridiculous.
But is there actually, I would have to see if there is actually a requirement.
Well,
Requirement for what?
Water.
Well, I was joking that with California, it's not worth it to wire up something anyways, because we're just gonna change the legal requirements anyways.
Pretty big on saving energy and stuff.
Well, I mean, it just depend. Well, I mean, realistically, they probably allow a lot of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a extremely liberal state, so they more than likely allow any kind of. They could put windmills in your backyard if you want. There, I'm guessing.
That's not that they were running supplies, or like they wanted to limit PC power supplies, like, oh, you like this, whatever.
Oh, fine, yeah. But what are they gonna do? Come to your house?
Yeah, that's
Like, let's check out your gaming PC. What's in there? Kilowatt? You got it on energy? You got your little switch that says energy saver? Cop gives you a warning shot to the face. Say, I'm gonna need you to unplug that right now.
Well, isn't there actually, I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, you have all these crazy rich people in LA that have these giant mansions where they're heating or cooling entire houses where people live in 3 rooms. I'm sure energy bill's not going to give them a whole lot of revealing information. Plus, I can tell you from experience, if you pull permits on stuff, it is I mean, legally you should do it, especially if you're dealing with things that potentially are, dangerous, because you got to consider your neighbors, right? If your house catches fire, it's not just on you. If your neighbors, their house bursts down too because you're doing some real sketch stuff, get permits on those. But like people who do like an addition or something, building a shed in your backyard, that takes a permit.
In California?
No, here.
Really?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
That's pretty bad.
And I was already mad at the housing inspector people.
I'm sorry.
For all sorts of reasons. These people are. I mean, and I don't get upset very much myself, but one day I'd already gone to the office, and my wife was at home, and she was sleeping, and all of a sudden we were like, it was during a blizzard, like we had a lot of bad snow, and you got this guy who looks all official, wearing like his housing inspector army suit or whatever the heck. He's at his door. He's banging on my door. It's like a blizzard. She's thinking, oh, was Littman killed in a car accident? Right? So my wife calls me Littman. Or Dr. Littman, one of the two. Yeah, so he's there, and what he was complaining for. So first of all, my wife has surveillance everywhere. So we have cameras, we got him on tape for all this stuff. So he's mumbling to us, oh, we're not off to a very good start here. He's whining about, the solar panels and stuff, which I have permits for, by the way. I pulled permits for these. We just hadn't done the final inspection yet because I had the electrician still working on stuff. But he was complaining that you maybe even seen it on campus over by the field house. There's this trailer in the back corner with like a little shed thing on top of it. It's our VR. Inside of it is a setup for like augmented reality thing. So it's got like a leather chair in there. It's like a setup for, we take it to when we go do demos at like churches and stuff for the VR stuff with the kids. So anyways, that was parked in my fenced-in area in the back. So all they could see was something that looked like a shed above the fence. So apparently this required a raid because they might see a shed in the backyard, and I have to have a permit for this shed. Okay, well, the shed's on a trailer. It's mobile. And as long as you're not saving it for storage, So I already knew all those rules. I was not happy. Not because they did it to me, because they scared my wife. I turned into a very different mode if you start threatening my wife. So I invited them cordially, of course, back out. Like, go ahead, inspect. I'm not using it for storage. Okay. I don't expect you to show up at my house ever again unannounced. You work with me. And this was to his boss, of course. It's a shed. Even if it was a shed, you don't come out during a blizzard to complain about permitting issues on a shed.
He just really passionate about the job.
You know, maybe he wanted to go out there, like, he wanted to make it objectively worse for him, so he could get it, like, more bangers. A lot of them.
I think it's like a lot of other things. People go on power trips.
Yeah, secret HOA.
Oh, we're gonna blow another class, but that's okay. HOAs. If you ever get into a housing development, check to make sure the HOA was ever actually legally filed. When I moved in, I'm in a 4-house thing, so they're condos, but when they were first building them in 2000, I think it was in 2000, they were first building them, the contractors went out of business about like 2/3 of the way through. So the project fell through. Somebody else picked it up and finished it, but the HOA never got filed. Well, so we had one guy who was there from the very beginning who, decided he was the HOA president or leader or whatever. And he also decided he gets extra votes, apparently, or anything. And he created this whole list of things that he doesn't like. Because I was parking a boat in my driveway. Well, apparently that's a major issue. You can't have a boat in your driveway. I even went back and looked at the HOA stuff they originally sent me. Didn't say anything about boats, said stuff about campers. He just translated that to boat. But something you don't do to a researcher is send them on a wild goose chase where they will actually go and research stuff. So I pulled all the county records. Okay. Never was the HOA stuff ever filed. No, so not only did I start keeping the boat in the drive, I was doing everything I could. I had cinder blocks in the yard. I got the pink flamingos. Putting the little gnomes right along the sidewalk. So technically it's and I was even trying to meet with them. It's like, look, let's talk about this. We're adults. We can work this out. The neighbor next to us under the same HOA thing had this giant dog that he didn't keep on a leash. And my wife's afraid of dogs. So she couldn't go out to the mailbox. We had all these pictures of the guy with the dog. Kept telling him, hey, finally turned him into the police. I'm sure it's a very nice dog. Keep him on a leash. It's not even just HOA rules that we don't have. It's also Grafton rules. And we have pets. So back then we had cats.
Is that really a pet?
Not really. I was allergic to them too, but my wife wanted cats. That's how little she loves me.
I'm allergic to dogs too. My parents have a dog. Dealt with it my entire life.
That's how little they love you.
Yeah.
Most of it has to do with your unwillingness to get technology to support
So that's
your
nothing to do
career.
with this.
Yeah, this guys have gotten me worked up now.
To be fair though, they didn't really know. My mom thought it was me drinking milk that was making me sick. The dog. It was found out when I went through the college, all my allergies problems went away. It still went back home, or my dog again, everything cleared up.
I get it. I mean, some people have, weak genetics and start getting some of the DNA fall off mutations.
Yeah, I don't hear you.
I know, I'm God's chosen people. I'm set.
No, you're not, Josh, but those people.
The Gentiles are good
How
too.
so?
Highly debated.
Gentiles are good too.
Define good.
Well.
Good is an extremely imprecise term.
As in we're all saved through faith.
Yeah, I didn't say non-Jew. In fact, we could even say that most Jews are not saved. Messianic Jews are saved. That doesn't mean we weren't God's chosen people. He led us out of Egypt, led us through the desert. We were complaining the whole time, as Jews do.
Maybe not all of them.
You guys have never met my mother. You never met my grandmother. If you think about Jewish grandmother and you look that up in the dictionary, wherever they have pictures of Jewish grandmothers, my grandma's picture was there.
I'm sure your grandmother was.
She was awesome. My mom, right. My mom will just complain about all sorts of stuff that
I'll try to play it. I can.
One time we were in a Bennigan's with my grandma. My wife and I were down in Florida. We took her into a Bennigan's and she ordered this chicken sandwich, but she didn't want it on the nice custom roll they have for it, like a little ciabatta thing or something. She wanted it on this loaf of bread that they have there that she had with something else. So they brought out the right amount of chicken, but on this giant bread, so it didn't seem like the sandwich was full. She's like, I am not accepting this sandwich. And let me tell you why. This sandwich is a disgrace. It's empty. It's like, but you know, I mean, because this is down in Southeast Florida, so they're used to dealing with those folks. So they brought her out 7 pounds of chicken.
7 pounds.
Oh, half a tequila. Now we're into the genetic memory. I can't even help this.
One time where you were telling the guys, I can't move too much. I don't want to distract you with my hips. That was so shocked. It's like, why would you tell us that?
All right. Let's try to get something.
You might distract us.
Every time. People. It's this song. All right.
It's the 100% interest.
Guys think they're interested.
Yeah, what is the-
Well, he's certainly not interested in technology.
I'm very interested in that. I'm not interested in paying money.
Why?
I'm Q-maxing. That's
Well, hold on. Aren't you paying for college?
yes.
How much are you paying for college? A lot, right? I mean, there might be some scholarships or whatever. Maybe family had a trust for education, whatever it was. But I mean, there is you are invested into your education. Somebody's paying money into your education, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're going into computer science.
Yep.
What fraction of the money that's being spent on your education would it take to upgrade your computer to something that is at least better than Littman's toaster?
Your toast is pretty good, so I don't eat a lot.
No, it just has 32 gigs of RAM in it. It's nothing.
Can it run machine learning models and everything?
That would be more GPU based. I don't think it has a strong GPU. Although there is a little LCD screen on it that shows me the image that it's toasting onto my toast. I could do good Yoda stuff, but yeah, I don't think it takes a pretty hefty GPU to drive a 3-inch LCD. Oh man. All right. Final exam will be longer than the midterm. So however much time you felt you spent on the midterm, probably give yourself double that time for the final, but it'll be a similar format. The exam will be online. I'll put it up sometime before Monday morning. You have to do it all in one sitting as usual. Closed book, closed note. Basically, just don't cheat. If you need to use a calculator to do some math or something, that's fine. At the end of the day, I don't care. I get paid either way, but you're only hurting yourself if you fake your competence and then pretend like, hey, I now know stuff, and you go to the next class and fail that one. So at some point, it's going to catch up to you. So show me what you can do on it. I'm an easy grader. Just do it is the punchline. So I just need it in sometime before 11:59 p.m. on Friday, which means don't come to me on Saturday and say, oh, can I still turn this in? So yeah, don't do that. The answer will be no. So
Friday next week.
yeah, Friday next week. Yeah, so
I'll do it Friday.
you can find a time. I know that sound. Is that one of those suction things that
No, it's a printer.
oh, it's a printer? It sounds just like, oh, it's doing the calibration.
That was really embarrassing.
No, because I'm about to tell you another cool story.
Yeah.
Have you seen those, some of the athletes, they do this thing called cupping?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Well, so you can now go online and buy those things where, goes on there and you suction it. And as, somebody, as would be normal, I didn't read the instructions. 3 buttons on this thing, pretty easy to go, right? So I put this thing on there, put it on high because, I wanted to do it good. So I had it on for about 30 minutes. Apparently, especially when you do it on high, you're supposed to have it on for like 15 to 30 seconds. So when I took it off, I had all these water blisters all over because it was just destroying my skin as it was pulling on for a half hour. I was watching movies in my headset. I didn't even notice. So, rule of thumb, don't read instructions, learn your lessons through pain.
That is not the lesson we take.
What's this? I know.
That is terrible.
And you
advice.
never go back.
Read the instructions.
What's this?
Once you learn it, you can't never.
That's true, but it didn't hurt that much. Like it did go back.
But another good.
It took about 2 months to heal.
Obviously, before that, just.
And submit it prior to midnight on Friday, 11:59 p.m. 1 week from this Friday. So what is that? The first, May 1st, 11:50.
You said, when does it open? Tuesday?
It'll probably actually be up sometime over the weekend, but
Okay.
guaranteed by Monday morning.
Gotcha.
All right, so online starting Monday a.m. due by 11:59 p.m. on, we said 5/1. All right, 5/1/26. So figure out with your rest of your exam schedule, when is the time that would be most convenient for you to be able to prepare for that and take that. Get it on your calendar now so you can make sure that that's a priority for you and you can decide how to focus on studying for your other exams. Remember the policy, if you do better on the final than you did on the midterm, I'll replace your midterm exam score with whatever you got on the final, not the other way around. Yada, yada, yada. Like I said, very similar to midterm, probably 75% of the questions will have something to do with programming, whether you are picking, it'll still be the whole multiple choice type thing, but you'll probably actually have larger chunks of code now where you either have to tell me, what does this do? What's the missing lines? What's the error in this? Things like that, rather than writing code from scratch each time. Yeah. So questions about that? Go ahead.
Is it the same process where you essentially take what you learned from like your videos and like pick up the individual topics from that?
Well, I think in this exam, you should probably expect to see material you've never seen before. What would you do if you got an exam in a class that just had every question was stuff you never covered? It's not even related to the course topic.
Well, if it's.
But imagine the questions I could put on this exam that technically were introduced in class. They're not. I would encourage you, if you're using Gemini, to go back through the like videos to like study stuff, pull out content from them. Maybe because when you look at a YouTube video, there's a little Gemini button, so you can kind of have it like summarize this, whatever. Maybe add to your prompt, computer science related topics.
That would be the-
Well, that way you're not like getting all the filler. Go ahead.
Each question on there, something.
Yeah, like the answer is either cat, dog, or snail.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, like either cat, dog, or the other one.
well, but that's not, no, he wants it to be like, something that's we talked about, but has really nothing to do with the contents of the course. Maybe like, how much RAM does Logan have in his computer?
Better yet.
How embarrassing. How embarrassing is Logan's technology?
In my basement.
How would you-
Okay, so the question is just how much RAM, the question is how much RAM is in my basement? And but what you do though, because you can always make it creepy if you put basement in quotes.
Basement.
How much RAM?
Nothing else. Just all you have to do is just how much RAM. Oh, put that in quotes too. How much RAM does Lippman have in his basement? You know, now we're really talking about RAM in the basement, but people's minds are going to go all sorts of places. Next thing you know, you're going to the dean, like, okay, Lippman had this in the exam. I'm not sure what to make of this. Is this a dangerous situation?
They can't, they go class, that's harder.
And don't make that multiple choice. Just pick-
Don't make that.
Yeah, make it a short answer.
It's a fill in the blank. It's worth 99% of the score.
Like, oh, this guy gets it.
This guy, who gets it?
Dumb.
Oh, these are some good ones.
Like,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, Ninja Turtle, that would be really good.
We'll see. We'll see how the spirit moves me when I write the exam. Yeah. There will be questions on there related to Unity stuff. It won't be like, I guess I could give you some script stuff and say, what is this doing? But it'll be more about connecting some of the Unity stuff to the object-oriented stuff. Like you should know about game objects kind of being the object thing within Unity classes. So everything kind of inherits from a game object. You should probably know about time delta time, that concept of when you have a game loop that's happening once per frame or once every 60 times a second. You know, the idea of being able to use how much time has passed since the last time I asked can be beneficial, and that's what time delta time does. It says how much time has passed since you asked last time. And there could be things you might want to do based on the answer to that question. That kind of stuff. Definitely singletons, MVC. There could be questions like how does Unity um, handle MVC on the on one side versus the other? How do we get game objects accessible through code? How do we get code accessible through the front end? That kind of stuff. All right. Any other questions about the exam before we try to tie several things together here? And
So like you said, understanding how code flows from the MVC or how it works together.
yeah, how is it implemented? You know, what's the concept of MVC? What does MVC actually say? So what is that? What is MVC? Okay, that's what it stands for. What does it mean? What's the idea behind MVC? Now you see why I spend time talking about other topics, because why I spend time talking about computer science, it's in one ear and out the other. Nobody can give me MVC. I feel like I've asked this question most classes in the last 2 weeks.
It's like a way to.
It's not an it's like it's a simple response.
model is
What's a model? Let's just start with, let's break them down. You have a model, you have a view, you have a controller. What's the view?
The user sees.
What the user sees. Okay. What's the controller? The logic, the code behind. Okay. Now the model is going to be the tougher one for us because we haven't worked with external databases, really. So model is our data that you're storing somewhere. Could be flat files, could be a database. If you want a local database, you want almost a database, but I don't have to host it somewhere. You might use something like SQLite. I wouldn't ask you that on the exam, but these are things that might pop up for you. So SQLite is a relational database, but is file based. So you don't have to like install a server somewhere or anything like that. It just sits right in the directory with you, but you can talk to it like it's a real big boy database. Just don't try to have 100 users using it at once because you're going to start running into race conditions like we dealt with threads, stuff like that. Because at that point, you're kind of dealing with like, hey, what if I had one file and 50 people were all trying to read or write from it at the same time? Hard, right? It's difficult. You got to have all sorts of security on board for like putting a bouncer in front of that resource to make sure too many people don't access it or even more than one person doesn't access it at once. All right, so model is our data, view is what we see, controller is the logic behind. So what does MVC suggest is a good idea? Remember, this is a design pattern. Design patterns are a proposed good idea or good solution to a common problem. All right, see how I segued into the double quotes? All right, so MVC says what is the common problem? What's the problem that MVC proposes to solve? This could be a good question, actually. Especially given the fact I keep asking this question, I could just get deer in the headlights. What problem is MVC addressing? What problem existed that MVC is addressing?
They like the structuring of code, and that was the question, yes.
Having all your stuff in one place.
Yeah, like structuring your code so it's not all in one place.
Okay, so what's the problem with having it all in one place?
If you were to come back to that code to like try to figure out what you did, it would make absolutely no sense. Because everything would jumble together.
Okay. So if you're doing something with electronics and you open up a panel and it's just a web of wires in there, Carson gets very upset. Right? Okay. I'm just guessing here, but I peg you as a wire management guy. Almost problematically so, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm married to one of those, so it's fine. You can own it.
I love the best.
So, but we've all dealt with that issue before, right? Something you were having to work on was too messy, and whether it was even your own fault, you were like, I wish I'd probably taken a little bit more care with wire management or whatever, right? So as problems got more and more complex, code management became more of a big deal because we had more loosely related stuff, models, views, and controllers, all in the same place. It became a jumble of wires. So it's a good idea to separate those things into 3 different places and then create some sort of mechanism for the cross communication for when they do need to interface with each other, but allow the developer to operate where they can say, I'm working on the view, or I'm working on the controller, or I'm working on my database separately, and then bring them together. That's what MVC says. It's a good idea to keep your data separate from your view, separate from your controller. Singleton says it's a good idea to keep information that's shared among multiple objects, whatever you want to say it, in one place rather than pass that information around to 50 different people. Kind of like in businesses when people use like, what is it called? Is it 1Pass or 1Password?
LastPass.
Oh, is it LastPass? Okay, yeah. So a lot of businesses will use a tool like that where all their business passwords are stored in a single place. And then there's plugins for LastPass where it'll automatically put the password in so that the employees don't necessarily need to know the password. They just have to have access to LastPass. That's become a little bit more sketch now that we have the pass, what it was, the passphrases, passcodes. What's it called? When you put the fingerprint or your face thing.
Like Face ID.
Well, it is biometrics, but now they're passkeys. Is it called passkey? Yeah. So now everything's about a passkey, which can be, somewhat problematic when you're working on somebody's computer, right? That's kind of a real problem that we've run into in technology. You have the people who know how to fix your computer don't have your face or your fingerprint. So you kind of need them there in order to do those things. And even if you set up a pass key for it, you somehow get in the first time you set up a pass key. Usually the original pass key supersedes everything else. So every now and then it'll say, we really want to confirm. Yeah, you got the right hand, you got the right face, but we want to make sure it's you. So we're gonna send a text to someone else whose phone you do not have, who's in bed right now because you're a computer science guy working at 4 a.m. Maybe because your computer's running too slow, too much swap space, you're spending a lot of time, you hear just things just grinding. It's called thrashing. Logan, we're talking about. So when your computer starts like it's running real fast and you just hear like it's working way too hard. What it's doing is it's constantly, this is an operating systems concept. It's constantly moving stuff from real memory. Because swap memory is memory that lives on your hard drive. So it's fake memory. It tricks your operating system into thinking you have more RAM than you do, so that it can load stuff into memory, but when it really needs it. So one of the memory management things you'll learn about in operating systems is paging memory management. So what it'll do is you load pages into memory, and the hope is you're being strategic enough about this that the pages that are in real memory are the applications you're actively using. But every now and then, if you need an application that isn't actively in memory, when you click on it, it has to load that stuff in from fake memory, effectively your hard drive, which is slower than real RAM, even if you have a fast hard drive, an SSD, an M2, whatever. So that's the sound you hear when it feels like it sounds like your computer is dying.
Are you taking off?
It's called thrashing. It's constantly trying to swap things in and then needing the thing it just swapped out immediately because you have two bytes of memory or whatever you have.
About 3 gigabytes. Hey, but like Bill Gates said, we would never need more
Then 32K of memory?
Yeah.
So,
So it's not my fault, it's computer's fault.
so is that the same thing, Dr. Because your hard drive starts to like not become your RAM, but like in a sense you run out of memory, so then your hard drive has to sort of compensate.
Yeah.
And give some of its.
It's called virtual memory is what Windows people might see it listed as. It's virtual memory. If you're a Linux person, they typically call it swap space. So when you install Linux, sometimes it'll create a /swap directory. It's a partition on there that is just set aside for, hey, this is my fake memory. Use this as needed so that applications will still launch and work just slower. And we'll get the stuff moved into real memory, hopefully, so that we can have some sort of custom thing. But I mean, my toaster is running 2 large language models and can do a perfect Baby Yoda. Full color.
That's
Full
so-
color on toast.
I hear so much. That's true.
No.
Yeah.
There actually are toasters that do images. I don't think they do. I'd be a little worried about what's in the full color. Starburst flavors. I would actually be good. I bet you Starburst flavors on toast would be shockingly better than it sounds.
Oh, you should try it. Not at all.
Well, I want to now. We probably could do something like that with a modified 3D printer. Because you have to melt down the Starburst that becomes your molten plastic. I mean, people have done that with like chocolate with 3D printers. Well, they'll build things out of chocolate.
What do they use when they 3D print that steak?
Oh, yeah, because now they're doing I mean for a while they've been doing biological stuff, and now they're they have like engineered meat. So they're printing. I mean, first of all, you're dealing with materials as well as equipment that's made for medical, which means it's the same equipment, it's just 50 times the price. So definitely not for Logan.
Yeah.
Logan's the guy who or goes to Einstein's, orders bagel with schmear, no bagel, no schmear.
Never been there.
He would.
Never
Look.
been there though.
He's just there for the free napkins.
No, I'm there for the free ice cream that place called.
Culver's,
No, not Culver's.
I've only been there.
Cold Stone Creamery,
No,
Dairy Queen,
no,
Cops.
no.
Cops is good.
Baskin Robbins. I'm right.
Oh, Jason's Deli. That's what it is.
Who?
Jason's Deli.
Jason's Deli.
Is that only in Texas? Okay, that might be a Texas.
What's your favorite fast food restaurant?
You guys keep doing this. It's because that's an imprecise question. Well, but it depends on the type of food. No, no, no. It's not. It's definitely not that.
It's Wahlburgers.
Every single time I've ever ordered Arby's, when it looks good in the picture and I think I feel like it, I regret it. Huh? Well, the pictures always make it look good on the menus. They never looks like that. So, I mean, you got to start thinking about the different. Okay, so I would say Dave's hot chicken, but but top is relative. So if you're going to a chicken place, I think that's solid. Okay. Well, fine. If you're going to go to a fried chicken place, right? So now you're saying, okay, well, that's really in competition with like KFC.
Chick-fil-A.
So KFC versus Popeyes. Chick-fil-A is pretty good, except I don't like the fact that I have to wait in line for it. So DoorDash is pretty good as long as they're close to you. I mean, for burgers, I think Culver's is pretty good. Cops is good for burgers. Cops maybe wins that because I think their custard is better than Culver's, even though I like them both. But Cops is less convenient.
The best place for burgers is In-N-Out.
I think In-N-Out is overrated.
Do you?
Yeah, I mean, I like In-N-Out. I like In-N-Out. I like their special menu and everything, but In-N-Out burger is overrated.
It's actually like the freshest burgers.
Oh, because you have low standards, as someone with 16 gigabytes of RAM today would have.
It's like genuinely, like I've never had a burger from a fast food place that's as fresh as theirs.
Right, because of your low standards. You're pulling this from a sample of 0.
It really does depend on which In-N-Out.
Second place is whatever.
Some of them aren't really good, really fresh. And then others can make you think, yeah, it's overrated. But like, if you go to a really good In-N-Out, where you have to wait in line for a really long time, the food is made fresh. It doesn't matter. It's actually good.
Well, I'm not saying they're bad. I just think they're overrated. I mean, I would go to In-N-Out Burger. Okay, so Five Guys is that's an interesting one. That's it. So then you got to think about value. If somebody else is buying Five Guys,
The price is so good.
See, for the price.
now you're thinking with money again.
It's like
Yeah, for the price and quality of an In-N-Out burger.
My wife loves Five Guys peanut butter milkshake.
I have never had Whataburger.
So my wife loves the peanut butter milkshake from Five Guys. So sometimes if I DoorDash something, I'll double dash just the milkshake for her because
When I go out.
a milkshake is $12. Yeah. Once you add the tax to it, I have DoorDash. I have Dash Pass. So I'm not paying like the super premium for it. It's $12 delivered. Yeah, I mean this makes it even worse. I could walk to the Five Guys in under 5 minutes.
What?
Yet I DoorDash it
That is great.
because it's beneath me to walk there.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That actually
Yeah.
tastes better than everyone.
I actually agree.
That one worked.
I have a hot take. I think Steak and Shake is the best.
That is where my wife and I went on our very first date.
Really?
Is Steak and Shake,
Great first date.
and we no, this gets even better. So two nerds get together for their first date. We met on an IRC chat channel, which is before the internet existed. This is early chat rooms at bulletin board systems. So we were on a bulletin board system called PrairieNet, dial-up. So we met at I had to pick her up. So we went to Steak and Shake. We brought our calculus books to talk shop. First date, we're talking calc. We went across the street to the movies, and the movie we saw that was in the theaters was National Lampoon's Las Vegas Vacation with Chevy Chase. I guess 4.5 years later or so, we got married in Las Vegas. Not Elvis, normal wedding chapel thing. Just we went away for it, so we didn't have to have a big wedding thing. Yeah, they don't even have movies like that in the theaters anymore. That is terrible. I know. There's actually and this is onto a Concordia, a better Concordia topic. There is a movie is going to be in the theaters. I think it's starting next Wednesday. It's called The Theory of Everything. I strongly encourage you to find a way to see it. It's from a scientist guy who's also a Christian apologist, but it's a science documentary about let's consider it as evidence of a creator without actually talking about a creator. Yeah, so it's not preachy at all. It's a science documentary, but when you come out of the documentary, you have now seen what you thought was truth about science in a very different light. Well, but it's not really, it is a new perspective, but it's not new science. It's we're all ignorant of kind of what's happening, around the world. There's just so much stuff that happens. So there's things that are being taught as if they're just pure truth that are not. But they're just still in curriculum and yeah, but so it's going to be, pretty cool. I think it's called The Theory of Everything is what it's called.
There's actually one book that me and Brady had to read for a Christian faith class, and I can't remember what the title was. It was
that book was really good. It's Strobel, the Strobel.
Yeah.
Oh, Lee Strobel, Case for Christ, Case for a Creator. Which one? Well, which one?
Well, A Case for Christ, the student.
Yeah.
It was like so deep.
The movie for A Case for Christ is really good because Lee Strobel, what you saw it in the book, Lee Strobel, who's now basically a Christian apologist, but Lee Strobel is the person who's producing that movie. He's not the scientist, but he's the money helping produce it. But the movie A Case for Christ is pretty good too. Tells the story in a less cheesy way. But Strobel was a writer, like a reporter, and his wife became a super Christian. He didn't like it. Well, has she finally given in to the bozos and the believing in all this God stuff, blah blah blah. So he was an investigative reporter, so he went and investigated to debunk Christ, and ended up becoming a believer as part of it.
Like the most interesting thing about that was him telling this story of like how his job was his God. Like some of the things that he like did they just kind of blew my mind. Like the stories that he would hear and how like one time his peer called him out and said, "Why are you pumping information out of this kid? His friends just died in front of him. He just got shot in the head. He's gonna die soon. You're treating this like it's a gold mine. Like you get the story, yes, but this kid's gonna die." And I was just thinking like, dang, like that.
Well, just think about, even using today as an example, we all have different gods. I know Logan. Logan's a Christian guy, but he's valued money at a level, and it's almost the reverse. He's not chasing the dollar.
Yeah.
He is valuing the dollars he does have so tightly that he won't spend it on stuff. But it's not. This isn't a Logan problem. We all do this. We all have our other gods. When God says you shouldn't have gods other than me, he's not talking about, Baal and all these other, gods. He's also talking about the things that we put ahead of God because we think that's what's going to bring us happiness. Whether it's, money or love or whatever it is, we end up worshiping stuff in our lives that, and we all do it. Every one of us does it, right? Lee Strobel has a newer book that just came out this year that deals with near-death experiences. Decent. Not as hard-hitting as his early ones, but now he has some validity behind him. So it's pretty interesting because he was able to get access to all these different stories. Well, okay. Now he has name recognition. So he can go into places and talk to researchers and stuff to get the story behind these near-death experiences that maybe would have been, behind HIPAA compliance or something before. And, he can open some doors with his fame to do this stuff. So it's pretty cool. That one maybe feels a little bit more of a money grab, but at this point, I think he's doing pretty well. So who knows?
I think the best place that you could be at especially with your walk with God, is when you do get the thing that you thought you really wanted, and then you realize like, dang, I really didn't need this after all. Or should I say better yet, like, it didn't give me everything I wanted. Because I got to that point and then I realized just how much I needed God.
What about the next time? So you learn that lesson, but then the very next time, 3 days later, you get what you thought you wanted that was going to make you happy, and like, oh, I really need to be closer to God. And then 2 days later, you want something else. You want something else. I tell people as when we talk about prayer, we ask God for what we want. God always gives us what we need. And we usually have a disagreement on that. Those aren't always the same things. They're factually unlikely the same things.
Because I think once you get to that point, even then when you like see God as like the number one thing, when He does give you the things that you ask for, they don't get prioritized over them.
Or you convince yourself that you deserve it.
Well,
Oh, God gave me this great thing because, oh, I earned this. I deserve this. I worked really hard for this. I. And we all do it. Every one of us does it. This isn't a like, oh, well, I'm pious and you all are terrible. Well, except Logan.
Yeah.
Work. No, I was actually. Yeah, Judgment Day, guys, like 16 gigs of RAM, Logan.
Fine.
No, what's your swap space?
I'm trying to be content with what I have. I'm not materialistic. I'm content with my computer.
And actually, that is true. That is, well, no, I mean, okay, but in all honesty, that is how many of us are content? So let's flip this over on Littman. I mean, I know we've we're still in computer science a little bit, but this is a good Christian conversation here. We've flipped this over. So I'm sitting here making fun of you. Well, why don't you get more? Why don't you get more? Why don't you get more? Why can't I be content? Last week, I had the best computer you could buy from Apple until there was a new best computer. And I had to replace it immediately. And I gave Professor Kellogg my hand-me-down. My hand-me-down was an M4 Max with 128 gigs of RAM. That was my hand-me-down. Wasn't good enough. I had to move to an M5 Max. Faster M2s. Still the same amount of RAM. But I had to have it. Why wasn't I okay with technology that was way better when Logan's packing? Right? He's content with what I would call a pile of crap. Like not worth putting your fingers on the keyboard because you might catch something. Yet he's content with that. And I don't think I would be. Who's the sinner here in this example? Well, I mean, in this particular example, as I'm making fun of him out of one side of my mouth, I have to consider that, would I be happy with that? Yet he says it works. It does what I need it to do. Yeah, it's a little bit slower, but it's fast enough for me. We probably would be in a much better world if we all thought that way. I mean, I want to be clear, you're still pathetic.
Happy, resolve, then back to like, okay, well, you're still not like there yet. I thought you would be low.
Well, the worst part about this is now I have to go back and cancel my Amazon order because I did order upgraded RAM for the toaster.
Oh, really?
I mean,
Why?
because it has a max RAM of 64 gigabytes and I must have it. Precious. Oh man.
We'll always get better and better and better.
But what does better mean?
So many different things beyond
Yeah.
just hardware.
These are imprecise terms. And will we ever have enough? Whether it's your computer specs, whether it's your bank account.
Yeah.
Yeah. The corners are less sharp. I would never buy a computer for design. Never. I don't care what it looks like.
I mean, what if it's extremely ugly?
I don't care.
What if it looks like this?
I'm okay with that. I don't even care the size of the monitor because I plug it into a big screen at my house. You saw the screen in my basement.
TV. Your basement?
The screen.
Yeah, I have like a 42-inch TV like right here and
For your poor little eyes.
I want to get a computer over the summer. What's a good portable computer I can get?
that's an imprecise question. What do you want to do with it? Okay, well, tell me more about this development. What kind of development are you doing? Are you doing development in tools like Unity? Are you doing Python backend server side stuff? Are you running local AI models? Are you writing code that talks to cloud AI models? Well, you can do plenty. I mean, he can do AI stuff on his machine as long as he's sending it out to the cloud for the processing. That's where the best AI models are anyways. Well, I get it. So the answer to your question, this is a problem-solving approach. It depends on what you're going to do with it. So if you're going to do mostly non-Unity type stuff, so you're going to do kind of normal standard development, and you're okay not being able to fully dabble with like local large language models or something like that, running agents on your own computer as opposed to paying for tokens up there. I mean, the strongest stuff is up there, but the stuff down here is getting strong enough for many, many, many tasks, and they don't cost you anything as long as you have the hardware to support it. So if you want to be able to dabble with that, then what you want to focus on is RAM. The CPU is less important. So I would go to the CPU until you start getting the change in price. So if you're on, are you Windows Linux side or as opposed to Mac side?
I'm on Windows, but
That's fine. So you're on the PC side of things. So figure out where is the price flip for processors. I would probably look at like last year's i7, something like that. When somebody says the new i7 comes out and they say, oh, this is, up to 70% faster than last, it's like one magic trick on that processor does something 70% faster than last year's, but the chip is largely strong. So I would get last year's model of an i7 because probably an i9 is going to bump the price way up. So just figure out where that line in the sand is where the price triples. That's where your CPU is. Then you look at the GPU, and this is where you got to start thinking about, well, if I want to do AI stuff, right now Macs make the most sense, but keep your eyes on when other places start creating unified memory. So Apple, like this, the reason I do this kind of machine for the AI stuff is I have 128 gigs of RAM in this, but that RAM is also my video RAM because it's unified memory. My pool of RAM is shared between my GPU and my CPU. And AI models that you run are dependent on the amount of video RAM you have. So the more video RAM you have, the larger the model you can fit in there and run on your computer. Now, the GPUs in an Apple aren't as powerful core for core to an NVIDIA CUDA core, but they're probably 80% there and getting faster. But the only way you can, the strongest NVIDIA card you can get for your home PC is a 5090 Ti, and it has 32 gigs of video memory. And that's like a $4,000 card. You can go get two of those, and now you have 64 gigs of video memory. Well, I have 128 gigs of video memory if I don't want to use the computer for anything else. Maybe it's 111 gigs of video memory when you actually think about it, just because it's unified memory. It's nothing special that Apple is doing where they have this new invention. They've just said, hey, we're going to dedicate ourselves to unified memory now, so everything just shares the same pool. No, because consoles have a dedicated GPU in them. Consoles solve their problems by having, although they've moved away from this over the last couple of years, everybody who was writing games for consoles were targeting a standard set of hardware. So they can tweak the games to run well on that. You know, take certain things out in certain areas where the user won't notice, put certain things in where the user will notice, things like that. But they kind of know the problem they're solving. As long as the user's happy with how it's running on this, we're good. Well, then they started coming out with like, you know, PlayStation Pro. So that has stronger hardware. So now it becomes more of this PC experience where, you know, you get games that are optimized for PlayStation Pro. And if you want to play, you know, the Junior League version of it with, you know, graphics that are all, yeah, potato graphics, you know, line art. But the future of our computing, immediate future, is going to be unified memory. So if you can find someone who is running, has a motherboard that supports unified memory, you might have to spend a little bit more on the CPU to get into something that's compatible with that, but keep your eye open for that. That's going to give you your most bang for your buck for running models. But if you can get a GPU that has 16 gigs or 24 gigs of video RAM on it, where, like, for instance, if you're building a tower, are you doing a laptop or a tower? Okay, a laptop. So I would look at a gaming machine. Probably look for something with like an embedded like 3080 Ti or something like that. Try to get the maximum NVIDIA from maybe 2 years ago or two things ago. You'll save money there, but you'll keep all the video memory. So like a 4090 Ti has 24 gigs of RAM, video RAM, but a 3090 Ti does as well. I think a 2080 Ti, which was the strongest they had in the 20 series, I think that had 16. So as long as you're at a 30, you get the 32, or you get the 24 rather, which is, that's solid for running a lot of models. Realistically, if you're running a bigger model than that, yeah, I can fit it in my memory, but it's going to take a minute to handle any sort of inference or something like that. So you gotta play the game. But if you want to send me specs that you're looking at or something, I can kind of help you weed through it. But you don't have to spend a lot of money. You just have to be specific on where do I spend my money. Yeah. Because I mean, you're not going to notice realistically an i7 from 4 years ago compared to an i7 today, unless you're doing very, very, very specific things. You know, then you'll notice it, but you probably won't notice it at the tune of $800. Memory is kind of the biggest thing. Memory and hard drive speed. So definitely look at something with an M2. If you can get something with the newer solid state technology, like Apple's new stuff has, the solid state drives in this are like 4 times the speed of previous ones. But you know, Apple's buying them from some supplier, right? So get those in your laptop. You know, that's how they do it, right? They just keep going back and forth. Fast hard drives, lots of memory, fast enough CPU. Well, we actually, frankly, we probably had better discussions on stuff here than we typically. Go ahead.
Is the purpose of adding the like value to differentiate it between a double?
Double and a float?
Okay.
Well, but the purpose is so we put the F on there so that we can tell the interpreter or the compiler the kind of value I'm talking about here is a floating point precision value, not a double precision value. And most of that is, and this ultimately comes down to the fact that we have, this goes back to C, where C gave us these different data types, right? We have floats and we have doubles. Well, if you're a human and somebody shows you 3.14, well, you know that's a floating point type number, but you don't know, is that being stored inside of a float or is that being stored inside of a double? It's still the same number, but the precision in which it's being stored, the number of zeros that come after the 4 is different. So the default is double. Therefore, if you want it to be treated as a float, you put the F in there. Well, then you have to question, well, why would I ever want it to be treated as a float? That's the follow-up question to that. Why would I ever want to treat it as a float? Because to us as humans, we don't care. We got plenty of memory. Float takes less RAM than a double, but we're probably just going to use doubles. That's kind of our go-to move. But the reason we might, what would you tell me? Why might we choose to use a float instead of a double? Good.
Our values.
That would be less precision. Floats are smaller than doubles. So floats are 16 bits before, no, 32 bits before the decimal point, 16 bits after. So they're 48-bit numbers. Or, yeah, do we really care about memory anymore? So what I'm really asking is in today's world, yeah, he does. In today's world, for instance, in Unity, why are we having to put F after that? What's for? The answer is not so the error goes away, right? What do you think is the rationale behind where that F comes from? And we have talked about this, but we've already proven that we've talked about MVC at least 10 times. And you guys have no clue. I probably could ask the question now and it's already gone. So why in Unity, why do we put that F there? Why is it required other than the error to go away? Float sounds cooler. Well, I suppose it's possible that was the motivation for the right answer. I don't think so, but it's possible. Most of our video libraries today, or physics libraries, come from older C written physics libraries, where memory was less back then. So in many of those cases, they required you to send it floats because it was reliant on the precision not being higher than that. So effectively, you say, this has to be a float because that's what is compatible with the physics function I'm calling. He wants me to send him a float, not a double. So yeah, he looks like a double, but I'm not using all the bit space for a double, which is what, 90, 96. So it's 64 before, 32 after. 96 bits is a double. But you're not using all that precision anyways. 3.14 can fit inside of a float easily. But the thing I'm passing it to needs a float. And since I don't have any way of saying, unless I already stored it inside of a type called float, if I say float F equals 3.14, actually in that case, it probably still makes us put an F after it because it says you're going to lose. It'll be a warning. You know, possible loss of precision. Depends on the language, whether it's a warning or an error, but it'll say possible loss of precision if you try to put, 3.1, you say float F equals 3.14, it'll think 3.14 is a double type because that's the default move. Well, let me go to him first. Go ahead.
How can I optimize for my cloud code?
How can you, how can,
tokens? How can I optimize it? Like, so it uses less tokens.
why do you want to optimize it?
Because mines are in too fast. And like, I feel that like at the start when you didn't have that much data, it was like, it was using less. But like, at the same time with the data,
I get it.
better stuff.
Now, again, this is somewhat loaded because this makes the assumption that money's not a problem. But the solution is don't optimize it. Buy more tokens. So get the higher plan or whatever. I mean, I get that's like, it feels like a cop out, but I gave a presentation yesterday to we had a Chinese delegation on campus that I came in and gave a talk to. I want the max plan from Claude to like go up to like $3,000 a month. Why? Why do you think I want it to go up to $3,000 a month?
You have way more.
money, less people use it.
Right now, this is a power tool. This is a superpower that you're wielding this thing. Less people who have that superpower. There's only a couple of Supermans flying around. You can do quite a bit of stuff. But if everybody and their brother has access to it, but let's say the secondary part of your question might be, how can you really optimize it? Be as precise with your questions as possible, which means that you will have to solve some of the problem yourself, at least in terms of thinking through the steps. Because what the agents do right now is they plan out a whole process and then they start doing stuff. Well, that planning out takes a lot of tokens. If you can plan some of it for it, you just saved up some tokens. So you tell it, this is the technology I want you to use. I want you to use fast API for the API server. I want you to use this kind of database, this kind of, give it some criteria where the fence posts are so it can create the plan more quickly. You'll save tokens. Because actually running the stuff when it goes, it's writing a piece of software. And at that point, it's just running programs that created. That's not using tokens. Those are just running on your computer. So the real answer is buy more tokens and don't worry about the conserving them as much. Go ahead. And we are out of time. So if you guys got to go ahead and go. But good.
Will the exam be like open or closed and all like
Similar to midterms, so officially closed book, closed notes, closed calculator. I want to see what you're capable of doing. So if a question asks about some concept, you're like, what was that concept? I want to see what you're capable of. Go and peek at your notes real quick just to remind yourself what that concept is. I'm okay with that. But don't copy from your notes for the answer. So if you can look yourself in the mirror after the test and say, I didn't cheat, you're fine. You got to use a calculator for something, that's fine. You got to peek at your notes for something, that's fine. If you like, okay, let me just do a quick Google search. What was the how do I do random numbers in this? I'm not asking you to memorize the random number generator thing. Go peek real quick, give me something close, it's fine. But I'm going to give you options for stuff, so it probably really won't be a problem. But as long as you can look yourself in the mirror afterwards and say, I didn't cheat, it's fine. I'm not going to check. I don't care. I get paid either way, whether you cheat or don't cheat, it's on you. You're paying for the thing.
oh like what's the difference between like keeping as like some sort of
As long as you think that you operated ethically, it's fine. I'm not going to check. I don't care. It's in your own head what you think is ethical. You can look at your notes for the entire thing, and I'm not going to catch you cheating. I'm not going to try to catch you cheating. It's going to be your own choice of whether you took this exam on your own or whether you used too much resources. You're not going to get graded down for it. It's just your own conscience. Yeah. So if you want to look something up and because you think that's the way it's going to give you, you're going to be able to show me what you're capable of, that's fine. So there really is no rules. So try not to look anything up. But if you're stuck and you're like, I know how to do this, I'm just having a brain thing, go peek real quick. That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just like golf.